Hello, Jimmy Perkins.
What's going on, man? How we doing?
We're doing okay, brother. We're doing okay. Um,
Pleasure as always. Pleasure to be on.
yeah. Why don't we just because there's new viewers, why don't you just give us a brief background of who you are, how you ended up here. You don't have to dwell on it too much, but just give us a quick backstory.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea. So, I would consider myself basically a enthusiast overall, and that's kind of like where my journey started. So when I was like 14, started lifting weights, got really into working out, got really into sports, really into personal training and stuff like that. And from that point on, I just kind of pursued human optimization, human health, human wellness. I went to college at the age of 19 or 18, left college by the age of 19. But that's because I had an experience with Western medicine while I was there that really blew my mind and got me really upset, sent me down the rabbit hole of human health and also, I guess you could say, uh, the manipulation or the systematical manipulation that is our country. So big food, big pharma. It kind of blew my mind with all of those things, and I dove down that, I guess you could say, conspiracy rabbit hole. And right at the same time as I was learning the truth about all of these things, I met Leighton, or sorry, we had met way before. We had talked for years, and I had always picked his brain about major topics like aliens, 2012, what's going to happen to the world. We just dove to the deepest stuff right away every time we saw each other. So at that time, Leighton had started Kingdom Aquaponics, and he was deep into this realization that soil was really where the start of health is. Human health, environmental health, it all starts in the soil, which is why we're all here. And so I started talking to him about that, and he invited me down to Pennsylvania to work with him, kind of as the workhorse and learning his process and in regenerating and restoring the natural living biology in soil. And at the time, given my current realizations and seeing the state of the world and where things are headed, I just knew that this is going to be huge and that this is actually what we need to reverse this implosive path that this nation and this society was living. And honestly, since that, everything that we learned, found out, talked about has amplified 10 times over. Like it's become more and more relevant, it's become more and more accurate that we are reverting back to nature. The smarter we get, we're realizing the intelligence of nature, and we're realizing that we really need to restore the healthy living biology in soils and the food that it produces for us, both animal and plant, in order for us to restore natural health in our soil, our food, and ourselves, which is the mission of this dome. And so, this whole vision of human optimization, healing, health, and human performance started with a bad experience with Western medicine with me that led me to talking to Leighton about soil and then following him down to Pennsylvania, only to realize that that was the single most powerful um, process that I still to this day have ever come across. And that is probably what this nation, this society needs more than anything else, whether the masses know it or not. And that's the coolest part is masses are waking up to it like crazy. I mean, you see it all over Instagram, everywhere right now. You see it all over social media. People are starting to talk about nutrient quality in food. They're starting to talk about food systems and the control that our government has over them, big food and big pharma, especially with COVID and what that released and what people realized with that. People are starting to realize this is the way. It's becoming popular. We were just talking about ecotourism. We were just talking about how farms are utilizing other sources of revenue to help expand. That's what this whole thing is about. It's really bringing attention to that movement.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Thank you for that brief backstory on how you ended up here, because I think that's really important for people to understand is that this wasn't something that you just flipped a switch on. You've been practicing this journey or involved in this journey since you were a teenager, and
Yeah.
so this and I think that's really important that people understand the length of knowledge and research that is required to really be able to understand that connection between soil, human, and animal health, which is the trinity. That's everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel
Um,
blessed. I feel blessed that you asked me to come aboard. and help you and be the workhorse. Because, you know, even back then, I remember when you explained to me the connection between human health, soil health, and I dove down that rabbit hole and learned a lot on that website Gaia, and just learned a lot about holistic health in general. I was so excited about it because I feel like we found the key of what we need to do, and I went and told everybody, and thought they were going to be just as excited, and they were not. Nobody cared. You remember how much of a struggle it was to get, like, just to convince anyone to utilize the product or to let us do it, and you know what I mean, to have them care about their own lawn or their own landscape. Hey, you can treat this organically with natural living biology and have healthy living soils. They just didn't really care, you know. And to watch how far that's come over the past 10 years, that's what's kept me on this path. Although in my heart, I knew that this is right, this is what it is. Watching the world around us wake up to this and start to respect it and desire it and be like, yeah, we now understand with documentaries like Kiss the Ground and all of the attention that's being directed toward it. We now understand the importance of soil. We understand the importance of local food systems, and we understand the importance of nutrient quality in our food and how that nourishes us. And so to not, I never had a doubt in my life. And since the moment that I learned this stuff from you, that this was the way, it's almost like I didn't have to make the decision. It was just there. I was either going to get rich in this way or die trying, but this is the way. And so to watch the world start to respond and gravitate towards this year after year, more and more, has been beautiful. And to the point we're at now, post COVID, post Epstein list, post all this crazy shit going on in the world, people want to push back. They don't know how. And I think that's one of the main topics that we can talk about today a little bit is, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are frustrated with the chronic health epidemic. There's a lot of people frustrated with the direction of big food and big pharma. There's a lot of people frustrated with our government, the FDA, the USDA, and these organizations that protect and empower the people that are poisoning our society, while secretly and quietly diminishing anything that is giving the people power or actually good for their health, like localized farming, regenerative farming, raw milk, things like that. And so that's what this dome represents: is its unity. It brings people together to push back against this movement, but it doesn't just do it by talking and posting on Instagram. We have a plan. We have an action platform. We want to put new facilities up in every town. We want to help farms that don't produce anything revive so that they produce as much as they can for their local community. We want to maximize the amount of localized regenerative agriculture in order to restore natural health in our soil, our food, and ourselves. And this is the plan to do it. This is an action platform.
Love it, Perk. So I recently had my own health scare. I had a catastrophic stress event,
Okay.
which caused an aneurysm on my aorta, and I ended up in ICU for 4 days.
When was this? How I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up last time we talked because I have to be very careful about my blood pressure. this really upset me. So my daughter Camden was being irresponsible with her student loans. And I don't know if you've seen or heard much about this, but back at the end of December last year, Trump did an executive order to stop collection agencies from pushing collections through on defaulted student loans. What had happened was the Department of Education got hacked. We could probably all figure out who that was, right?
Yeah.
And basically flipped a switch that in May, anybody was in deferred status, and there were millions of them. They flipped the switch so that it showed in the loan provider or the maintenance company, like in my example, AidVantage. On Camden's end of the computer screen, it showed in deferred status, no further action until December. But as far as USAID or AidVantage was concerned, that it showed that the loan was active and needed to be paid. So I started getting late notices, and so I was calling, going, what's going on with this? And they're like, oh, we can't talk to you because you're not the primary loan holder.
Oh.
And so I go to Canada and be like, Canada, what's going on? And she'd be like, I looked on the website. It says I'm in deferred status, no further action necessary. And then she'd cut me off. Well, it got so bad after the fourth or fifth notice that I called her very upset. And I said, Canada, damn it, you need to call these people and figure out what's going on, because I'm getting these regular notices. They refuse to talk to me because I'm not the primary loan holder. They asked me if I wanted to pay it off, and I'm like, sure, what's the amount? And they couldn't give me the amount. That's how ridiculous this system is. I'm going to be held responsible for it. As a matter of fact, it got foreclosed on December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. I got a notice in the mail on January 6th that this had happened and it was going to affect my credit. And I instantly panicked because, as well as a lot of other people, I live on my credit cards between jobs, and especially during the winter when work is slow. And so if I lose my credit cards, well, that means I'm homeless out here because it's just so expensive.
Right.
So I freaked out, right? I panicked. Inside, my whole body was just trembling and angry and upset that this had happened to me and I had no recourse and I had no way of protecting myself.
Yep.
And 3 days later, I ended up, I couldn't breathe. I had, typical heart attack symptoms, like tightening in the chest, can't breathe, dizzy as all hell. Tried to work, couldn't work. I'd work for an hour or two, and then I'd just be just ready to pass out. So I did that Friday and Saturday. Again, I had to get up and work. I had no choice. I had to turn some compost or it would have gone anaerobic. Thank God I did. And then Saturday night, I basically Googled, all right, what's the best time to go to the ER? And it says, you want to go right after shift change, so 7 a.m. in the morning. So that night, I spent wide awake, talking to my maker, because I got all the way there. I was like, okay, I've done everything I can. If it's time, it's time. I had a button, so if I thought I was going down, I could text Robin to come get the dogs. I didn't want them, dealing with a dead body. So next morning, I got up. I was like, okay, I'm still here. I fed the dogs, headed to the hospital. I went into what's called ER first, and met a really cool doctor there, a gentleman, and he instantly pushed me right into ICU because I had BP of 240 over 120, which is double the rate.
Yeah. Precisely.
And then they started the process of testing, and they said, okay, what's happened is due to some kind of stress event in your life, you've separated the lining in your aorta. Your aorta is your main blood valve. So it comes off the heart and it distributes blood throughout your entire system. Ooh. And they're like, we have got to just absolutely nuke you, because if that tears, it's going to go into your heart valve and there's nothing we can do. It's inoperable. You'll be dead pretty quickly. And if it passes the heart and goes to the brain, well, that's going to be a slow death and not pretty, because you're going to basically go brain dead.
Oh, so thank God they caught it. And when they
I'm like, holy fuck, dude, right? So they nuked me up. They put me on all this experimental blood pressure medicine, and they were able to get me down to a point where it was manageable. And in this experience, I had a team of 17 doctors, and I would constantly be showing them hey, I can meditate and lower my BP by 30 points. But you got to shut these machines off, shut the fucking windows, and close the door. I mean, I'm in the friggin' ICU. It's so loud in there.
I'm sure they didn't heard that many times.
Right, and none of them believed me. And then I would do it for them, and they'd be like, "Oh, wow, you must be really special."
Some Wim Hof type shit. That's amazing, actually.
Right, and so finally, I made a few friends in there, right, and the conversation always went back to, well, you got to quit drinking and you got to quit smoking. And my argument to them was, look, my great-grandparents, my grandparents, and my parents all drank and smoked like fish and chimneys. They all lived into their 80s, 90s, and 100s. It's not the alcohol and the tobacco that you demonize. It's the pharmaceuticals, it's the food, it's the water and the air, and the chemicals that we are exposed to.
It's a fact. like
and you know what?
that
The,
do
the
want.
audacity of these people would be like, well, we can't disagree with you. We can't argue that. We, 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 you are not incorrect, but they could never acknowledge it. Right. And that really frustrated the hell out of me. And there's a lot more to this story that I'm not going to get into. But bottom line is that after I got dismissed, I had a similar event. I tapered off all these pharmaceuticals. At one point, they had me on 7 pharmaceuticals. And that's from someone who's never, I haven't had a pharmaceutical in 19 years. Never been sick, been healthy as a horse.
Yeah.
So those pharmaceuticals.
Rigorous lifestyle, working a ton, going
Yeah,
through.
being exposed to good microbes, right? Being around compost and healthy soils.
Yeah.
Well, bottom line was the pharmaceuticals made my life unlivable. Literally. Like I was constipated. I was throwing up. I couldn't eat. I was urinating every 2-3 hours, so I couldn't sleep at night. It just destroyed my life. So I started tapering off one by one to try to figure out which was the worst one. Come to find out, the last one that I stopped was the worst one. So unfortunately, I had
stop that. You started to see the symptoms start to go away.
Well, yeah, but I got rid of all 6 of them except for one, and the one that I was still on was causing all of the symptoms, or 90% of the symptoms that I was
symptoms
dealing
is the key word there. It's crazy how much, how many pharmaceuticals have other effects and will potentially improve or treat the one thing that they're going for, but have no regard for what it's doing to the rest of your physiology. And I've seen that with my clients. I mean, that's the experience that I had personally, except there wasn't even an issue. That was a catastrophe what they did with me. But it was the same thing where it started to give me other effects that woke me up and made me say, hey, what the hell's going on here? Now I got a problem. And that led me to the rabbit hole of pharma, Western medicine, big food, and led me to you. So it's the same thing. But I've seen with my clients, and I hate to harp on it, but especially when it comes to the depression and anxiety medicine, I've seen several of my clients before and after when they started that, and the physiological effects, which I can see, which your mind and your body are really one, were dramatic. I'm talking dehydration, disconnection, and neuromuscular disconnection to certain parts of their body, the inability to focus, just a dramatic downfall in trying to treat something that is, I know down the road they're going to make up that worse, and then in the end as well. So it's it's a catastrophic situation. It really is.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole point here is this. I'm trying to roll this all into what you're doing, because what you are doing is treating mind, body, and spirit, and that is the only effective way to get through all of this. And Western medicine is not the answer. So I finally got off all of the blood pressure medicine, had another minor stress event, and ended up having to go back into the hospital. This time, they allowed me to dismiss me after like 12 hours because I was able to get my blood pressure back managed. And I told them, I said, look, I've been trying to get off all these pharmaceuticals. I think that's what did it. I'm waiting for my herbs and my mushroom extracts. I should get them within a week. But I wanted to get off of all that stuff so I could track the effects of the herbs and the mushroom extracts. And so they understood it. They nuked me up with that experimental blood pressure medicine and sent me on my way. So what I noticed was when I first got the herbs, actually got the herbs like 2 days later. It was great. So I went on all the herbs and the mushroom extracts, and it did an amazing job, Perky. Like amazing. Now the only problem was as the pharmaceutical hit half-life and started to wear off, they weren't as effective. So I went through about a month of playing with different extracts, different combinations, different doses, going on them one at a time to slowly see the effects of how they were going to handle this.
A little trial and error, yeah.
And I lost a lot of time, Perks, and I couldn't work. I was still too dizzy to try to do anything. And if I physically worked, my blood pressure went through the roof.
Yeah.
So needless to say, long story short, where I'm at now is I had to go back on one of the pharmaceuticals, and I took the one that had the least amount of side effects In the first couple days, I did get seriously dizzy and throw up a couple of times. But since my body has now kind of acclimated to it and the other herbs I'm taking, it's now it's not safe. I'm still not at a safe level, but I'm in a level that's not horrific.
Yeah.
So
Are you meditating daily with it? You getting?
yeah, so a couple weeks ago, my average was 190.
Oh,
So I'd see it as high as 220 and as low as 170s. But that's going to be doing long term damage on my valves. It's putting
100%.
too much stress on it.
Yeah.
So I just started a whole new battery of herbs that are more focused on stress relief: lemon balm, chamomile, and oat straw. And I've been on those for a couple days now, and I'm seeing a really positive effect as far as like less things stress me out. Right,
Right.
I can deal with situations that before upset me, like getting cut off in traffic. Stupid people just standing in the middle of the fucking aisle or whatever. That just it's like, come on, where's your situational awareness? Right, where's your situational
Those are,
awareness?
don't get me wrong; those can be frustrating situations in this country, especially depends where you are. But yeah, we learn to deal with those things and be non-attached, and I think that's a huge thing that I learned in yoga is non-attachment and stuff like that. Because I was so attached to absolutely everything that made me angry, and the reason I'm saying this is because in the past 10 years, one of the things I've realized how much is your physiology. It's the state of your nervous system and the state of your physiology and the way that it's functioning that allows you to be attached or non attached. Because if your body is compromised in the way that it's functioning, it's in a fight or flight state, right? So it's at war internally. It's like scared. It's in a survival state. And so the area of your brain that you would activate in order to let go, be calm, be peaceful, be creative, think about the world in a better way, be loving, is disengaged. So it's all attachment. This is a physiological effect. It's not something that you can think your way out of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What parts of the brain are active based off of what's going on in the body. And so when your body is in a heightened state of compromise, when there's issues with your blood pressure, when there's issues going on internally, have a much harder time being non-attached. Your body's much more attached.
right. And that's spot on. And that goes back to mind, body, spirit. It's controlling all of those pieces of the puzzle and not just doing yoga or not just meditating or not just
Right.
physically working out or not just eating better. And in reality, you hit on something that I don't see anybody else really focused on, is that it's these three pieces, and then there's sub pieces to each one of those, like being on a farm, like being exposed to soil. So many
Right.
people are disconnected from the environment, the
Right.
ecology. it,
Yeah, and
it's
then one of the concepts with this dome is our health is nature. Natural elements provide so much to our health, and the science and the studies show that. And yet we go to strip mall gyms, we go to doctors' offices in the middle of another strip mall, and we're completely disconnected from the natural elements with no consideration for it, especially for those who are healing. So one of the concepts of the dome is reintegrating health and even human performance with nature. So where's the best place to work on our health? It's on natural land. It's in the woods. It's in a farm. It's all these places. And with what we want to do is outside of the dome, as we cultivate the surrounding landscape and max produce as much as we can as far as fruit, vegetables, and even meat. We want to build like pathways that people can walk on and get grounded on. So they're getting the earth, they're getting the sun, maybe even some natural pools and some water with some natural elements and minerals in there, and really just embrace and embody, give a new home to the natural health movement, which it's missing. And part of what my message is with this whole thing is this is not really optional if we want to redirect this path. It's just we as health and fitness community need to come together and be the movers of this. It's not going to happen through a government. It's not going to happen through grants. It's not going to happen through really anything other than the people. In fact, the opposite is happening. Last year alone, we lost 15,000 farms. And all these laws against raw milk and all these laws against the food, it's all up against the people. The people need to come together and have some type of platform that does that, which is what we're trying to do, because we see all of health and fitness have the same mission. We're all trying to improve quality of life. We're trying to enhance our healing, health, and human performance methods. And that is by getting back to nature. That is by getting natural food and food that nourishes us, restoring the human microbiome, which starts with the soil microbiome. We as a community need to rebuild the foundation, which is the soil microbiome. And so we're trying to bring people together. It's all about the biology. We're trying to bring people together that care about health and wellness, and just shift the platform so that that platform supports rebuilding that foundation.
And it supports the farming industry, the food industry, compost, soil building, ecology, water purification. Like Perky, you've seen when you treat a property, the whole ecology moves back in. You got worms, you got birds, you got bugs.
Literally such a domino effect of good first, second, third level predators, getting the nutrient cycling going, and making it more of a fungi based soil. It's like building the mycorrhizal networks. Everything else stems from that. All of a sudden, if you just do that alone and stop synthetic inputs, you're going to see the waterways clear up near the property. You're going to see such a domino effect of insects coming in. So many different principles, so many different concepts start to flourish.
And you're going to have the ability to, do this firsthand, because I'm sure the farms that these, the couple people you mentioned are going to purchase are going to have been beaten to snot with synthetics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They did a good job of that over the past 50 to 100 years.
Yep. And what I learned on conventional ag, which I haven't shared with you yet, is it takes, if it's been pounded really long and never had a chance to go feral, it's going to take 3 years. It really is. Kyle moved 200 acres, corn and beans. It took him 3 full years to get all the way through the process to now where he has soil tilth. He can just stick his hands in the soil and bury them up to 2 fingers or deeper.
And so what farmer is going to take that leap? What farmer? Let's say you make money as a farmer right now, and you are scraping to get by because it's hard enough. And not to mention they don't have a ton of help. So what are they going to hire more people and take a risk of completely changing to a regenerative practice when they don't really, one, know how to do it, two, have the resources to do it, and three, don't know if they're going to end up doing it right, and to the point where we know how it's going to end up going. But for them, like, why? It's such a leap. It's such a risk. And that's what we're trying to eliminate. We're trying to say, hey, we're going to come in here, build the resources to make all of this happen. And we're going to do that through community of people that understand we need to rebuild the foundation of our health. So everyone that's tied to this network in this dome has come together to generate resources that will be put into flipping those farms and giving them the opportunity to make the jump, but also establishing a ton of new farms in land that wasn't necessarily contaminated, just not developed for food production.
Yep. And that's, again, the beauty of what you're doing is by building the community first. Now you have the manpower, because
that's all it is manpower.
It's their journey. Like they need a place to go practice, a place to make compost, a place to relax and watch and observe nature for their own mental health. So you're giving them both the environment to do it, a place to get connected, a place to get grounded, a place to learn more about how to do it at home.
Because this is designed, it's supposed to branch out into the local community. So let's say we put up a dome outside of Tampa here, 45 minutes out, and we start to build that community. We start to host events, and we start to have our exercise schedule, and we're putting a big portion of our revenue into what we call the farm fund. And the farm fund, we start to hire 3 or 4 people that are steady, ongoing, right? We utilize your process. We flip that soil so that we're having great yields, and we start to really maximize the production of that land. And I've designed farms so many times, in the setup and the regenerative practices, integrating all the different elements and getting the bees and all of that. So let's say we maximize that. The second that land is like maximized, we don't stop. We go right to the neighbors. We keep expanding out. We go right to the local school system. Hey, how do we connect with you guys? Why are you contaminating your land? We push the envelope on all of this, on the people that want to contaminate their lawns, on the on the townspeople that don't care at all about spraying the entire town landscape and every median and everything that you see with synthetic fertilizers and chemicals and Roundup that is so toxic to our youth and the people that play on it. We go to all these people and we push the needle forward, which is what needs to happen right now. And that's what this is. It's the action platform where we come together and we build those resources and we start to push that needle. And right now you have a ton of people. It's my generation right now is frustrating me. And I try not to get frustrated, but because there's so many people talking about this stuff. They want to be holistic. They want to be healthy, and they want to fix this for the next generation. They want to push back against the government. Everybody's talking about it. We hate the American government right now. The USDA is a fraud. Like the whole thing is pinned against us, and everybody's pissed, but there is zero action. There's zero action. So
there's no platform.
There's no platform. That's what I'm saying. People have laughed about this for so long, but not only are we going to provide the platform in the community that gets people together to rebuild the foundation, but we have the secret sauce, which is why we created this vision. And that is your process. We know how to flip the soil. So not only are we going to generate the community, build the resources, bring the attention and the awareness to the movement, which is basically saying, hey, people, we have to make this shift. We have to push for this shift, and we have to come up with the solution, because the government really it's going to do the complete opposite. They've taken away farms every year. They've taken away the natural living biology in soil. We need to restore it. Not only are we going to bring the attention, but we're going to bring the solution with it, which makes us unique, which is why we're able to do this. This is the secret sauce. We can show up on a piece of land. We don't need anyone else. We just need the community and the resources, the people that want to get behind it. And all we're asking them to do is be a part of this, is work out here. Don't work out in that strip mall where you can go there if you want, but just be a part of this too, because you care about health and wellness. You care about the foundation of health. Well, that starts in soil, and we know how to flip the soil, but we need the community and the resources, and we need to build a movement behind it that not just does it, but does it rapidly. And so what do you have these days that helps do that? Social media, and you have all these messages circulating, and you have tons of people out there getting really worked up and emotional about it, which is the driver of action, right? And one thing I've been talking about a lot recently is we're doing it wrong. We're doing it completely backwards, meaning we're very attached, the way you were just talking about. We're very attached emotionally to these things so that we get worked up and we lower our vibration. The controlling powers, their number one resource is our internal state. If they keep us at a low vibrational, sick, tired, angry, low vibrational, low frequency internal state, which is basically fear. And then the news and the government and social media, all they do is inflict fear like the world's about to end all the time. If people lower themselves emotionally to that level, those things start to happen. That starts to be the world we live in. And clearly, with what's been revealed in the past year, this is no longer a conspiracy. This is the intent of the controlling powers of our world, the people that control our banks, our food systems, our medical systems. This is what their intention is, to lower our frequency, to keep us sick, tired, angry, and scared that the world's about to end at all times, right? So that it reflects, because the world is a reflection of our internal depth of consciousness and character as human beings. Our awareness of what's going on and our character, our ability to act accordingly to that. And so we're doing it backwards right now. We're so worked up. I see this with tons of people I know. Everyone that gets it, even that's aware and understands these movements needs to happen, that want to go organic, want to go regenerative, they're really worked up and pissed off to the point where emotionally they're reflecting that into a negative world, and bad things are going to come from that. When we need to be non-attached to the emotion and take action, they're emotional and taking no action. It's completely backwards. We need to see these things, digest them, act non-attached to it. Okay, we're not upset, but we're going to take action in the way that needs to happen. Instead, they get really upset. They post about it. They go, hey, the world's going to end. We're going to World War III, blah, 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 and then do nothing about it. And that's where, I guess for years, I was a little bit trying not to be frustrated, to not contradict myself there, but a little bit annoyed that people didn't want to buy into this type of concept, because there is no other solution. This is the solution. This is not me wanting to do this. This is what we need to do and what needs to happen. We need to basically turn this country into the Garden of Eden. And we need to get ourselves internally on the right frequency to create and reflect a society that is going to take things in the opposite direction of this self-destructive and implosive path that we're going to leave our youth with, which is so much worse than this. So like, why go have kids live that day job, live pissed off, and do nothing about it? It's pathetic, and it's all I see. Whereas you got people like me and you, not to say that I'm doing things right and everyone should do things the way we are, but at least I know in my heart that I'm taking action and doing something that is making life worth living, and having that next generation and having the kids worth living, and returning us to a better quality of life, as opposed to supporting something that I despise. And it's completely self-destructive. And that is, I think a lot of people would align with that. I think a lot of our country would agree with what I just said and not know what to do about it. And so I built this. I said, you don't have to do anything different. You don't have to do shit different. All you have to do is understand that us as a health and wellness community need to come together, be leaders, and rebuild the foundation of health and wellness, which starts with our connection to nature, food, natural food. It starts with restoring natural food and our soil, our food, and ourselves. And that's where we're at here, and that's what this platform is about. It's just a gym. It's a community center that hosts exercise classes, educational courses, and events. And by exercise classes, I mean in the morning we have HIIT, we have stretching, we have yoga, we have our MMA classes, we have our kickboxing, our jiu-jitsu, we have our nighttime classes just the way you would at another gym. And then we have educational courses on food, on astrology, on stretching, on all these things where people can get certified and things, and we hosting it. Then we have events. We have competitive events, fundraisers for local community stuff. We have dodgeball games. We have tournaments. We have spike ball tournaments, cornhole, and we bring people together in all of these things. And all these people know that the mission is to reestablish the natural health in our soil, our food, and ourselves that's been destroyed by a system that is not for the people but against the people, and making them low frequency. This is how we rebuild the foundation that'll allow us to internally raise our frequency that will reflect in a better society. And so through those methods, we build a community in this dome. And I'm not talking this little dome, because this one is a virtual version of the vision. We're just on social media. This is music and movement in the dome. We got the chickens outside the dome. We got the soil compost pile and everything, which I can show in a couple of minutes. But that's the general idea of it, is build the community that gets us the resources to be a powerhouse, to build a movement that pushes back and basically makes everything around us thrive. And the reason we're able to do that is we're leveraging your concept of regenerating soil indigenously by using the indigenous materials around us and the indigenous microbiology around us. And we're adding some fish shit and some fungi to get things booming. And then we get that area to flourish. That area starts to make money. It makes a return. Then we work into the local neighborhoods. And then we copy this everywhere. And we build a ton of low intensity, high frequency domes. So low intensity food operations, meaning not that big, but everywhere. And we start to reestablish these as a key staple in our local economies. Now people have the ability to support local food. Right now I do it, and it's still tough. It's just not enough. It's moving at 1/100th of the pace that it needs to. And we want to flip that script. It's like, I get it. People are waking up to it. I get people want to regenerate America, and it's the most beautiful thing, but it's being done like a snail. And we're still being destroyed faster than we are rebuilding. And so it has to happen through the people. How are we going to get the people involved and interested? You're looking at it.
So in life, there are probably the two most rewarding things that any human can experience, is when you actually help somebody in a very significant way. There's just a release of serotonin and other compounds in your brain, because it makes you feel good that you actually helped that person, right? Oh. And the other one is when you really connect with nature. So you're hiking on a trail. A lot of people do this and they don't even realize it. They're out
100%.
there meditating. They're connecting, right? And if you wake them up to that connection, because they're just doing it blindfolded and zombie. Like they're not really paying attention. They know it makes them feel good to hike or to be in nature or to play with their dog at the park, whatever it is, right? But when you open their eyes to what that really is, that connection that they seek for, they seek it out, but they don't understand it and they don't get it. But once they get it, oh my God, then it's like lights on, light bulb goes,
And
exactly.
you see a beautiful transformation every time that happens.
And they are going to be the ones that go to their friend and say, come take a hike with me, or let's go kayaking, or whatever it is, right? And then they're talking, and the person is basically, because it makes them feel good to talk about it, they're going to talk about it, and the other person's going to be like, wow, I never thought of it that way, or I never looked at it that way. So where'd you get all this insight, or what are you doing? And they're like, oh, well, I hang out with this guy, Jimmy Perkins, at the Dome, on weekends or in the mornings or whatever. And he kind of was the one that got me to open my third eye, be aware of the situation, be, open to the circumstance.
Which was you to me when I was 19, but you came with the key that unlocks the door, which is, how do we flip the thing that is the foundation, is the soil? Because you had already figured out, you'd already looked at the world and said, this is a shit show. How do we fix it? And you traced it all the way back to soil. And so when my third eye was awakening at 19 years old, because of a run-in with Western medicine, because of an obsession with health, wellness, quality of life, and wanting good for other people, genuinely, honestly, empathy, built on empathy, looking at people just struggle, obesity, all of this thing is just a mess. It really breaks my heart. And I know it sounds cliche to say it, but the whole thing is really built on empathy. And so it's a driver. And so when I had all that going on and I linked up with you and started working with you, and you said, this process is this simple, because the way I look at your process is it's a concept. It's a concept. And that concept can be easily implemented everywhere, literally everywhere. And it should be. And that will get us back to a very, very healthy foundation of nature that will provide us with nutrient-dense food, that will provide us with good connection to nature, that will reestablish the natural health and soil food in ourselves. And so that was incredible. As my third eye's opening, you're like, by the way, this is the key to what needs to happen for all of us to thrive from a health and wellness perspective in the future. It's pretty wild.
Dude, there's so much information coming out on permaculture. When I first got involved with permaculture back, at Rodale, it was a cult. It was this, oh, you have to do it this way, da 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 da. And now it's open-minded. These are people who are like, well, no, you don't have to be an extreme permaculturist. You just apply these simple little principles like berms and swales, and then you put compost and plant the swale, and now all of a sudden it collects all the water every time it rains. And now all of a sudden you have an area you can plant in. And by polyculture, so you leave the grasses, you just cut a weed whack a circle, chop and drop, and plant a tomato plant in there.
Masterful.
Right. And you could do this anywhere.
Everywhere. Should be doing everywhere. And then our new GeoShip, you've seen GeoShip, that the domes that they're building with homes that conduct the Earth's energy and all this different shit, fireproof, waterproof. This is the society of the next 10 to 15 years, which many people don't realize. I mean, I look at the infrastructure we have now and it's just looks so old to me. I remember when at my 15-year-old self looking at these buildings and shit and going, this just looks old. It looks inefficient. And now we're building the same models just with cheaper material. It's garbage. So along with this is we build around things like that, and we integrate all of that so that nature is honored, respected. It's not damaged, but we align with it and we build alongside it in ways that are going to be beneficial to us as human beings, the way you would see in fucking Avatar. It's not far-fetched. This is the reality of this is how we optimize the future. So we have permaculture built around really sustainable infrastructure.
So we've kind of chopped it up about the bigger picture and touched on how this works by giving people good experiences and getting them excited and opening their third eye.
Getting resources. Yeah.
Right. And that is basically what you're doing is you're getting resources. And these people will understand that, hey, we got this farm to let us set up the dome, and we're going to start a little bit of permaculture over here. We're going to get some chickens over there. Can you, provide a little bit extra labor, like come home on the way home from work and feed the chickens, whatever you can do. And we'll give you chickens, and we'll give you eggs, and we'll give you the food that you grew, and a percentage of it, because you don't need all of it. I mean, one person can plant enough food for 10 families, no problem.
Absolutely.
And so that just builds on itself and continues to build and build and build. And that's
it's a network. Think of it as a microhyzal network.
Yeah.
That's
how this will work.
Whereas it's a network, just the fungi works, just the way that builds out in a strong root network. We need that for localized farming, from my perspective, localized, restoring natural health in our food, our soil, ourselves. And so we need to widespread that, because now we have something over here that's focused on milk, dairy. We focus on chickens over here. And we're all regenerative and doing a little bit of everything, but there's predominantly things that are all intertwined and connected. This is part of the Thunderdome community. And we integrate that. And I don't want to say commercialized because it puts a bad look on it, but it needs to be a commercialized character for local farming. And now we look at blockchain, we look at technologies and interchanges of being able to separate ourselves from the, necessarily the US dollar and shit like that. We have every opportunity in this day and age, actually never been a better time for us to build something that supports us and not something that supports our demise and our controller. Like, that is the opportunity that we're living in that people don't realize right now. So with this, we would like to do some type of self-regenerating interchange and coin or something that comes with it. And that's a little bit more advanced down the road. And it's not coming from like a we need money and greed perspective. It's a coming together and putting our time, energy, and focus and resources towards something that's going to rebuild the foundation of our health and give back to us as people and create a better life for the generations that we're going to bring in. Because our society right now, as we know, is going in the opposite direction. And that is because all we do is support the ones that are controlling us in these ways. We're supporting the big food, pharma, and banks and the organizations. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. For the first time ever, we have the capability to not do that. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to build a farm. We're going to put a massive dome on it with a sick community center and a sick gym. We're going to host the best events there. We're going to have a ton of fundraisers. We're going to get people to love the place. It's going to look sweet on social media. And what we do on the outside is going to be 10 times more beautiful than what happens on the inside. We're going to have the healthiest soils with the most nutrient-dense food anyone's ever seen. Then we're going to replicate that and do it again in the town next to us, and then the town next to us, and then over there. And this is going to be a network and a community of localized farming that's chained together the way a mycorrhizal fungi would build its root network.
Mm-hmm. And as the farms expand, then you can move into farmers markets and get the word out to other people in the community that, hey, we grew this food, but this food is a afterthought of what we're doing. It's a benefit. It's a value add to what we're doing. So Absolutely. We're going to charge you $2 for your tomato, but that $2 is going to go back into the land. Whether it's
pushing back against legislation.
Correct.
They want to come by and fucking say, oh, this raw milk is illegal and you're going to get arrested. You see what they're doing to how many of these farmers? And you've seen this for a long time. Once you dive into farming, and which is what happened when I started with you start to really be exploited to the depth of these issues, to the lack of resources, to the struggle these farmers face, to the adversity they face from our own government when they try to do things right that are going to be really beneficial for our health. They'll come in and dump out a ton of raw milk on a beautiful farming operation as a fraud, for their own scheme to try to get rid of those people. And so we're going to push back against legislation. The legislation of the USDA and the FDA wants to allow these artificial dyes and these colors and these toxic chemicals in our food, but not in Europe. Bullshit. Thunderdome's going to have a branch where this community's gained the resources to put together a team of lawyers that shits down the throat of the FDA and the USDA. I mean, we're all pissed off about it. Who's going to do anything about it? We are. We're going to have the community that puts together a team that says, okay, we already have 1 million people in the community. We're going to start with that. And we're going to propose that this bill and this law needs to be changed, and that they can't sneak it through some massive bill that is going to put people's health at risk. And they're allowed to put this type of chemical in our food. Right now, there's no way of combating that. There's not enough organization to push back. And so it's not just about the soil and the food. It's about the reestablishing natural health in our soil, our food, and ourselves, protecting ourselves from our own government, and protecting the future generations.
Agreed, 100%, dude. And again, you hit on so many of the core pieces that, if you really sit back and think about it, with that many people and that much collaboration, it's not hard to create instant events. Like, hey, we're going to go and lobby at Congress. You know, every one of us is going to call our senator 3 times today, and every day thereafter until we get.
Yeah, this is going to happen now, and then they'll know, and they stop fucking around a little bit. They'll be more hesitant to do these things.
Well, and again, you know, the key to the whole thing is giving people a way to share, to get their anxiety or their frustration out, because they can't change it by themselves. No. But again, there's no platform out there that supports that.
That's my number one topic recently. It's like everybody's awakening to this, especially after COVID, Epstein, this, that. You know, even Epstein itself, so many people demanded so much for the list, and then got it, and it was like nothing. It's like they would all just talk, which is, I get, what are you going to do? And I'm not saying that we're going to be this revolution that's going to stand against everything. But what we are going to do is shift our focus to rebuilding and building what isn't there right now, which is what we need, which is to source localized, sustainable, accessible, regenerative food operations and maximize them to the point where they're a staple in our economy the way big food is a staple in our economy. And we can start doing that now. We can start doing that now. The people need to start doing that now. And so we can start building what we need and then start pushing back. I mean, there's so much wrong with our government. There's so much, suppression and toxicity inflicted on the people. We're not going to sit there and just nitpick it. But when they try to pass a bill that says this is now allowed in our food, or if we want to look at it and say, hey, Europe has only 30 chemicals in their Fruity Pebbles, and we have 170 chemicals in our Fruity Pebbles. What's going on here? We can at least pick our topics and push back in those ways. Right now, there's no organization to do that. It's just the FDA and the USDA pretending to be a middleman between the people and the corporations. And it's just the wealthy people behind that are really influencing everything the way that they want to. And it's not working. It's not working for the people. We are going downhill. And so how do we fix that? We have the opportunity to. We do like on a level that we never have before. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful time to be alive. I think it's a beautiful opportunity to bring meaning to life in a direction that is very, very clear that people are starting to come aboard to, which is what we started doing, as soon as I had my awakening in 2013. And now it's happening more and more and more. But people are stuck at a lower frequency. Why? Because as the global powers start to be revealed and truth starts to rise, which is, I mentioned in the last podcast, when I was, I think, 12 or 13, I was told this by someone who I respect deeply and is a very big spiritual mentor of mine. We asked them about 2012, and they said, no, the world's not going to end, but there's going to be a shift. People's souls are going to rise up from the power in their stomachs to the love in their hearts. And there's going to be a lot of revelation, and truth will be revealed because information will circulate like never before. Then the iPhone came out, and this shit has happened right in front of my eyes. And in that, the controlling forces and the powers of the world that are inflicting this on society, same people that just got caught with Epstein or whatever it is behind all that, those people are trying to lower frequency of human beings. And so over the past 5, 6, 7 years, you see people's stress levels rise. You see their emotions rise, their frequency lower, and they blame the world, but it's being inflicted. What we need to do is get over the emotional part and take care of ourselves, clear our own gut, clear our own microbiome so our body isn't fighting an internal war, raise our internal frequency so that that can reflect on our external world, and that's the world that will exist. The greatest power of the controlling forces is the internal depth of the people. And so we we really need to not fall to the fear that they're injecting all the time, and we really need to take action in the ways that we need to, like this, and reestablishing our soils. But no one's doing the action, and everyone's getting emotional. So I guess that we're going to try to do the opposite of that. We bring high. This is a love center. This thing that I'm sitting in right now, it's a frequency center. It's a love center. Vibration, elevation. We like music. We take care of ourselves with health and fitness and exercise. We have community events where we bring everybody together. And this shit is missing these days. Everyone's stuck on their phone behind the computers, right? This is going to be the hot commodity, is events out in community as AI starts to take over and all this shit starts to be integrated that pulls us from each other. They want us by ourselves. They want us sick. They want us broken up in the family, and they want us in a low frequency fear state. This is the opposite of that.
You know, and you bring up AI, and that's a really good point, because what it's going to do is it's going to force a lot of people to look at themselves in the mirror and say, you know, I've been doing this job for 10 years. I'm not getting anywhere. I don't like my job. I have all this stress around my job.
Love bubble.
What else can I do? And here's an opportunity to say, hey, come here, you know, volunteer, grow your own. We'll give you food.
We'll be able to pay them. Yeah.
Yeah. Grow. Just help us grow food, and that'll feed you. You know, yeah, we're going to need paid positions. So please, you know, come show us your skill, and then we'll figure out what your pay is based on your skill, based on what we can sell, based on what we can market, based on more new memberships. I mean, imagine if you had a person, you know, at every gym, at every farmer's market, handing out your cards saying, hey, we have an event coming up this week or this weekend, an open house. Well, you know, please come and let us show you what we're all about. We're trying to,
and
we're trying to make people thrive. Like Silly said, I mean, can
civilization thrive.
Right.
We're trying to build this microazyl network that's going to give us the strength the way a tree would. And right now, there's none of that. There's just none of it. And so, like, for example, I have my school community, and pretty soon we're going to put up on the school community a $1 membership, a $5 membership, a $10 membership. And if you went to everyone in health and wellness and said, listen, we're living in a contaminated society with an unsustainable food system where the powers that be could pull the plug at any second and we'd all be screwed because we need food to survive. And do you agree with this? They would say, yes, our food is a huge issue right now. Our food systems are a huge issue when it comes to health and wellness. They support all the surface level stuff, like the gyms and like their fitness system online and stuff like that, like mine. But they don't want to support the back end. What if we said to everyone in health and wellness, it's a $1 a month membership to be a part of this school community, and watch what we build with a $1 a month membership, because we get 3 million people in this country that love health and wellness, and we have $3 million a month coming in. Now we go to that farm down the street and we say, here, we're not going to give you the money, but we're going to build the dome, and then we're going to flip your soil, and then we're going to plant the shit out of that soil, and we're going to hire 3 workers for you. Just let us use the land, and it's your farm. You know what I mean? We'll get you back up and everything like that. And we flip that fucking place. And then we go on to the next one, and we support that. And that's now a Thunderdome spot. The next one is as well. We start to get into the neighborhoods like that. This is the type of mindset that needs to happen. You know, people will spend crazy money on shit that doesn't get really anyone anywhere. It's like $1 a month from 3 million people in this country that care about health and wellness could rebuild how many farms?
Oh God, incredible. Especially if you're going permaculture, no-till. You don't even need the equipment, right? Just
turning and burning. And then I have other methods of looking at influencers and people with money and challenging them to put up their own. Hey, you have that resource, right? This is what drives me crazy, is the people that have the ability to do this, the fact that they aren't, I'm like, wait, this is what needs to happen. Food from far away is suboptimal. You got preservatives to keep the shelf life. Horrible. You don't know what they're spraying into the soils, which we see all the time are completely depleted. So we're getting deficient food. The two main issues with our food is that it's deficient and it's contaminated. So we're eating nothingness that doesn't support and fuel us as human beings. And then it's contaminated, which is carcinogenic, and it's causing toxicity in the body. These two things are the reason our food systems are so screwed up, right? And so you got preservatives, you got synthetic fertilizers, you got herbicides, pesticides, insecticides being sprayed on all that shit. Then you look at transportation. Well, now you're adding money, and now you're adding shelf life, time, more preservatives. Then you look at packaging. Now you're adding plastics, materials, bullshit, the opposite of sustainability. The further away you go with your food, the worse off it is. It should be a local staple in our economy, the way that big food systems are. And big food systems are thriving, doing everything wrong, and getting everybody's full support because everybody's fucking asleep and nobody wants to take any action.
Well,
So
they're also overtired.
they're sick, tired, asleep.
Yep.
But it's like, so is the person that needs to make a change in their life and doesn't. That's what we are. We have a toxic relationship that we're stuck in because there's no other solution. Now, we live in a time with social media where I can build this dome and project this message, put up a school platform that says, hey, everyone in health and wellness, be a member for this $1, for $1 a month, and watch how many farms we start to build. And all of a sudden, we're going to build a brand and a network that multiplies and amplifies to the point where every month we're starting 10 new farms. I mean, this is not out of range. This is not out of question. We could do that on our own exchange. We could do that on our own platform that doesn't even involve government currency. And everybody's sitting there with their thumb up their ass, bitching about how bad the world is and how everything's contaminated and all this. Zero action. And they might not have to know how to do the soil, but they can at least support, if they care about health and wellness, something that is trying to do that movement. And that's just the reality of the situation. I have no more sympathy for it. I'm, as you can tell, I have no fucks left to give. These people are useless, and I feel for it. But to know and say this 10 years ago and see how much it's grown and how much more relevant it's become, this is no longer the question. This is the way. This is what we need to do. We need to wake up the holistic health and wellness community, because this community, believe it or not, is the leaders. And I know that a lot of people would debate that, and a lot of people would probably get offended by that. I don't care. The health and wellness community are the people that care about quality of life and care about the growth of our future. If you don't care about health and wellness, get the fuck out of the way. Genuinely. And that goes for, I don't care, the respected positions in our society. That goes for police officers. That goes for military personnel. That goes for firefighters. That goes for doctors. Those people I respect tremendously, but they're busy. They're doing a duty. Who's fixing the food? Who is fixing the foundation of our health? Who is engaging in preventative health practices on a mass scale? They're going to reset this whole thing. Nobody, nothing, no movement. It's up to the health and wellness community. Every fitness instructor, every Pilates studio, every cycling studio, every chiropractor, everyone in health and wellness that cares about these things should be united to contribute to the foundational fix. If that happens, do you care about health and wellness? Yeah. Can you pay $1 a month? Yeah. Do it.
And you know, the other interesting thing in this day and age is RFK is getting some traction.
He's getting traction. He is getting traction. And
imagine if he knew about your organization and knew, you know, because you had, say, 1,000 health people send a letter to him saying, hey, look, please help get behind this, you know, help support this, because this is what every community can do to create food security, to create a better life that's less
food costs, to lower food costs. We imagine we flip the script on this to the point where this thriving community can now not really worry too much about the profits from the food.
Right.
We have branding, we have support, and all of a sudden we have cheaper, organic, healthy food, and we push that to people.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So where's your website? Ken, can you start flashing his website? Because I think, there we go. I think that's important that people know where to find you and where to get help if they're listening. Because the beauty of this is you can talk to someone in Australia.
Right.
I haven't
I
seen
can
you
yell at
here.
the computer screen and tell them about all my passionate issues here, and hopefully we get some response. And that's what we're gearing up to do right now. And I guess I can come back to what is it that we do right now? Why are we talking about this like so intensely, and why do we believe in this so much? And right now, this dome is a virtual version. I'm practicing my health and fitness online, which we're getting incredible results with. We win this, or we're eating crickets. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, and to have some passion about that, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. We win this. We, key word, we need we. You just brought up RFK, and RFK's doing some great stuff, but he's getting some pushback. I think what we as the people could do without having any fucking regard for our government and just going like this and focusing on building it is 20 times what he's going to be able to do. Because guess what he's facing? Lobbyists, corporations. He's going to get in there. He's making some drastic changes. But that doesn't mean we can't excel on the side and just build a ton of shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing that worries with me about RFK is are we running in place? Are we working at 1/100th of the pace that we could be?
Yeah.
Because I think that is what's happening, and I know that's what's happening with agricultural school systems. There's the results and progress of where we've come don't match up to what they make people do. Kind of like doctors. Why do we have all this money spent on pharma and doctors and everything, yet we have the sickest society in the world? It's the same thing with food. Why do we not have a thriving, interconnected network of nutrient-dense, holistic, healthy food everywhere?
Well, that's the answer to that question is it's got to come from both ways. It's got to come from the people, but it's also got to come from the politicians, the people that are standing up against this corruption.
And I think we can work alongside. But I think that there's really not an action from the people. The only action from the people is people like you or like a family that has a regenerative farm working by themselves, and they are grinding to get by. And then on top of that, last year alone, net negative 15,000 farms, which means that land was sold to developers, which means that needs to be stopped, which means we need collaboration and resources as people to stop that. And if that doesn't happen, all of our 62A, all of our ag land goes to our developers, and our food gets printed in a lab, and we're eating crickets like Lily just said. Yeah.
And the other piece of that puzzle too is that big business is grabbing land all over the place. And
big business is grabbing land. We need to enter the competition.
Yeah. Yep.
We need to enter the competition. People are too lazy. They are, but they don't need to do shit. They just need to understand it. Everyone can put $1 in from their house. And we are the ones that will come up with the method. We have the soil method. We have the technique in the permaculture and how to structure these farms. Like that's the fun part for us. It's just about getting the community together and getting the resources together to build as many interconnected farms as possible. But we were, what's that?
I was going to say, so where are you at with your courses?
So this is cool. I was hoping we would get into this a little bit today because this has the fitness side of this has always been my day to day, right? And it's what I do. I've been training athletes since I was 16. I had a career in that, and I left Boston. I came to Florida, and I rebuilt it into an online system because I knew I had a unique process with very unique perspective and foundational principles that followed throughout the whole process. And what I built that into is the Tiger Transformation, which is a 12-week transformation that teaches 8 modules and then gives you 3 programs to choose from. And then I cultivate those programs specific to you. And that transforms your understanding. It's interactive education and programming. So your understanding of how everything's executed to align with nature's design, which essentially means you have an effortless time and optimal breathing mechanics and forward locomotive mechanics. It means you can move forward effortlessly. So we work towards walking, running, sprinting, feeling great before, during, and after that, as well as a low respiratory rate and some breathing measurements that will cue and show us that your respiratory process is on point. And those are our primary measurements because everything follows under that umbrella. And then we get into strength training in a way that aligns with that. We get into pressing, pulling, throwing, and striking that aligns with that. Three-dimensional movement, how to hit hypertrophy, develop power. We get into all those things that align with that. But it's the first part of it is very, very healing and restorative. So that's the fitness system. But then alongside that, I have ATS, and this is expanding rapidly because of the results I'm getting. It's called assisted tiger stretching. See that table right there? I put that in the center of the dome. We get the red light going on it. We don't have it in here yet, but we have it at Revo. And then we want to get a grounding mat for the table as well. But I do assisted tiger stretching, which is a hands-on healing process. So it follows the same foundational principles as the system. There's 3 foundational principles. The 3-part approach, the 3-zone system, and nature's design. Those are the 3 foundational principles. The assisted stretching and body work and the tiger transformation follow the same concept. And with the hands-on work right now, the results I'm getting are incredible, to say the least. And I don't like to toot the own horn here because I never wanted to become a healer. I was just obsessed with all of this. I came up with these concepts involuntarily. I studied a bunch of different systems. People had told me, go check this out, go check that out. And I brought it all together in a way that is pretty wild at this point. I mean, yesterday, I went down to Revo, this wellness facility that I am now an ambassador for, and I absolutely love. They did a phenomenal place. They do a ton of blood work, a ton of screening. They're really into peptides, herbs, everything you could think in the holistic wellness space. They are as advanced scientifically and technologically with that as I've seen, and they're doing a phenomenal job helping people flush their body of heavy metals, helping people improve and hit their goals through peptides and stuff like that. And we're right on board with that. We are into ketones, peptides. We have herbs. We're actually white labeling a bunch of stuff right now, and we're going to have different Tiger products coming out soon through this brand. But I'm doing the assisted stretching there right now, and I went yesterday to an event. I set up a table, and I think it was the owner's sister-in-law had plantar fasciitis. Lied her down on the table, worked on her for 45 minutes. Plantar fasciitis gone. Today, I worked on a lady, plantar fasciitis, same issue. Chronic, since 2017, she's had an issue. I took a time lapse of it. I'm going to post soon. But I worked on her for the first time last week. Today, she said she was 75% better since I worked on her last week. And that's since 2017. That's chiropractic. That's acupuncture, dry needling, cupping, conventional doctors and physical therapy. She's gone through all of it. Nothing worked. And then she found out about this process. And the reason I'm getting those unique results are because it's coming at it from such a different angle, completely different angle. Like the way that I'm approaching working on these people is so out of the box that the things that we're doing, all of those concepts do not try, and they don't come from that angle at all. And it's primarily about changing the internal experience in the brain and the spine and the way that the body's functioning, and using that to improve and reset their motor patterns, the way that their body's driving neurologically, and using that to break up dense tissue, whether it's scar tissue, restricted or dense fascia, but creates freedom for the muscles to expand and contract and joints to articulate. And then after that, we put in some joint glides, some deeper range of motion, some mobility work, and more importantly, some stability work. And that through that process called the 3-part approach. Nervous system, you're a brain and a spine. Step 1, calm the mind and connect the body. 2, connective tissue and fascia. Free the fascia. 3, activate and align the muscle and skeletal. And through that process, we're targeting sciatica, back pain, plantar fasciitis, chronic hip discomfort, shoulder impingement, frozen shoulder. So all of these issues are coming from the same concept, and I'm taking them on right now, and we're getting some really good results. And the reason I'm so passionate about it right now is people don't realize is I wish other practitioners had the same mindset sometimes, and that is that this is for the bigger vision. This is for the people and to help people. Obviously, I love doing that. That's why I got into this. But it's to build the foundation that's going to make me full-time in this, that's going to give me the freedom and the resources and stuff to continue to build this. and gain resources. The better that product is, the better my online fitness product does, the better that this whole thing's going to get built and come to life in the future, which is going to give back to all of us, I hope. And I don't say that to be some type of hero or like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm a right-brained dude. It's about efficiency. I'm bewildered that other people aren't trying to do this at all times. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no heroism here. They don't give a shit what people want to say about it, especially the ones that will live a life that supports everything that they don't believe in anyway, which is probably 90-something% of the people I know. That's a very group that's judged me forever and laughed at this whole concept. I don't give a shit, right? So me working this fitness system and building all of these things up is to reach this ultimate goal and help this whole thing come to life. And I think that if all of us as fitness practitioners weren't so obsessed with ourselves and our own business and everything was about a little bit something greater in the collective and a little bit more about creating the world as a better place for the future and improving quality of life overall, I think we'd be so much further along. I think that's what's lacking more than anything else. It's just literally that. And there's no excuse for it. Like I said, we have the ability to do these things now more than we ever have in our lives, and it still doesn't really happen. You know what I'm saying? So bringing this all together is we all need that mindset. We're working for something greater because the people that, and I'll finish this part with this, the people that don't do that don't realize they're shitting on their own doorstep. They're just, it's kind of a funny way of putting it, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. If you have a me and mine mentality and you don't care about the collective, well, the shit collective that's brewing is going to end up on your doorstep. It's going to come to you. The expansion of the toxicity is going to come to you. The wealthy people that don't want to help the world are going to eventually, it's going to seep into their lives. So selfishly, they should want this society to become better. They should want us to reestablish this place into the Garden of Eden. That's what is going to make every single individual's lives better for themselves. It's going to make what everybody else's life is better. And that's a test of human consciousness and a test of human worthiness. If we become so isolated and obsessed with ourselves, we're unknowingly implosive. We're shooting ourselves.
That's part of the programming, Perky. That's part of television. That's part of the movie industry, entertainment industry. The big business. It's to make us selfish, to make us narcissists, because that's the way to divide. Yeah. And to divide is to conquer. Now, you did touch on something that I'd like to expand that a lot of people don't know about. There's a company called LabCorp. They're nationwide. You can go get individual tests that are not horribly expensive. If you go to the doctor's office, they're going to charge you 5 times this. And you can get a blood test, you can get a urine test, you can get a wellness test, you can get a heart test. I've utilized them at a couple times recently to figure out different pieces of this puzzle. Like I did a electrolyte test. And Perky, this is something that you got to know about, man. The electrolyte test looks at all of the salt-based minerals. Now, these are nutrients. These are what your body needs. And
what we're lacking.
Potassium, calcium. So they use the term electrolyte because it's salt. In nature, potassium comes in a salt form. And a lot of these other, we call them synthetic fertilizers. The synthetic fertilizers are made with natural gas. We call them salt-based fertilizers too, because the salt is the delivery system which they use to slowly let this be released in your soil. If they sprayed it as a liquid, it would be mobile and it would just wash right through your soil. So you wouldn't get any benefit. So the fertilizer industries realize that they make the NPK and they apply it to salt, to a salt crystal. And that crystal absorbs it. And then as that crystal slowly breaks down like a cube of sugar, it releases the fertilizer for the plant. So bottom line is, if you go to LabCorp and you say, hey, I want an electrolyte test, I think it's $49, but it shows you exactly the range of the most important minerals that your body needs to support it. Right. See, I kind of thought like, hey, maybe my high blood pressure is due to salts, to the lack of salt, because I don't use salt in anything.
Eesh.
And so, and I don't like table salt. It's poison. We all know that. And, the Himalayan sea salts, there's a lot of, you know, copycats, fraudsters out there claiming that it's pink Himalaya salt when they just dyed the fucking salts. Like,
Right.
you just have to be so careful nowadays.
Yeah.
So anyway, mine came back perfect in range. And I was like, you know what? That's because I eat so good. Whenever possible, like I eat fruits and vegetables. I eat a lot of red meat, which is actually coming to find out is good for us.
Love that, really.
It's really one of the primary sources of these minerals, and that's why they're trying to take it away from us. They're crushing the cattle industry right now here in America because they know if they take it, if they raise the prices so much that no one can afford it except for the wealthy, then they could shift us to bugs or other lab grown protein sources, which will not have the electrolytes in it.
Keep us going deeper into the direction that we are.
Exactly.
Deficiency and contamination.
And sick.
In summary, it's deficiency and contamination. And now what you're harping on right now, which is a beautiful thing, is our modern ability to measure that.
Yeah.
It's on a level now where even 10 years ago, it was not that accessible to people. Blood test was a little more money. It was for more wealthy people. Almost everyone now can test their minerals. They can test their heavy metals. They can test what type of foods their body's going to digest well. There's a lot to it. And that's in the preventative health that we need to shift our basis of health in that direction so that we're setting ourselves up before we crash and burn and then find out after. You know what I mean? We're going in for these tests and we're getting these tests taken and then we're solving these issues before there ever was an issue because of them.
Yep. So again, making people aware that they can take their own healthcare into their own hands.
Yeah.
I met a primary care physician who was younger than me, a woman, pretty aggressive when I met her. But I said basically, hey, I know you're the doctor, but I know my body. I've been living in it for 62 years and I know what I need. I want your advice. I want your consult me in my theories or ideas. I think that's very important. But I want to decide when I do things and why I do them or how I do them. And she stepped back for a second, and then I said, I'll be real honest. And this is what has kept me away from, the medical industrial complex for years, is the fact that there's this control issue. Like, you guys put so much emphasis on alcohol and tobacco, and when the real reason is the pharmaceuticals, the food, the water, the air, and the exposure to chemicals. And you guys don't put any emphasis on that. Yeah. You don't even ask me how I eat or what do I eat or am I exercising. Right. You just, everything is pill. And I understand it. You got to pay your student loans back. I understand you got to make a living. I understand you got a mortgage. We all do, right? That I get your position. I get what you're doing or have to do. But do you agree with that? And I, as I said to all the doctors in the hospital, they're like, you're not wrong. We can't deny that. We can't argue that. But we can't do anything about it because these are the tools that we are given. And so I think that people need to know that they are empowered if they ask for the power. If they just give it away. Like, I got a buddy.
Oh, that's a gold bar right there, because that's what this whole thing is about. Like, let's go, people. Let's get behind this. Let's all, from the health and wellness community, come together and just crush this.
It's the saddest thing ever that, like, everyone just trusts the doctor because he's a doctor, right?
Yeah.
And let's face it, as many doctors are as corrupt as many other people in the world. Like, I know doctors who have laughed about the fact, oh, you cut what you owe. Like, in other words, well, I just give this guy another operation and then I got enough money to pay my mortgage or pay
Yeah.
for my new car. And
100%.
it's like, oh, well, it's a preventative surgery. We just want to make sure nothing happens to you in the future. That's a lie. It's not a preventative, it's an unnecessary surgery. You don't need to be cut open.
No.
You don't need a preventative.
Most of the time.
Right? And that's how they justify it in their own mind, so they don't feel like a fucking monster. I mean, remember, they all had to take the Hippocratic oath to practice medicine. It should be called the hypocritical oath because they know they're giving you poison, but they don't have any other
I
choice.
love that. We should make that into a carousel, Cal. Since you're watching this in there, that's a great line right there. It should be called the hypocritical oath.
And it's,
you know, it's like you hate to bash because I think these people go into it with a good intention. I think they still have good intentions, but they get tired, they confused, they don't want to be socially challenged, which I think that is one of the biggest issues that we face in making progress in all of these areas. Is people don't want to be socially challenged. They don't want to support something that might come off a little bit weird to someone else. They don't want to say anything publicly that would have the slightest bit of turnoff for anybody, right? And so these doctors in a community of doctors, all deep down might think a lot of these things, but like don't want to say shit about it. They don't want to be socially discredited in their community. They don't want other people to be like, that's the wacko doctor. Then you got people like Dr. Shiva, who's just a legend. And he's just like pioneering everything he said in the past 20 years starts to come true 5-10 years later. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing that someone could have that much, could be right that many times and understand things deeply like that and then not get recognition.
We talked about this at length when you were younger about having the ability to see the future by saying, okay, this is happening, this is happening, and this is happening. That's pointing in a direction. Now, it may go up and then down, or maybe it's going to go straight, or maybe it's going to curve off the other way. You don't know. But at least you put those things together. That's the other missing piece of the puzzle in humans because they're so sick, because they're so malnourished.
They lose their intuition.
They lose their ability to freaking see what's coming.
Yeah. And well, that's part of the low frequency thing. And I think a lot of our capabilities of humans as humans are suppressed. And that's part of the reason the society is the way it is. Because they're all wealthy. People go, it's money. It's money. They want more money. It's not money. Money is the
quality of life.
It's life force. Money is the tool. But in order for them to have this world and do the dark things that they want to do and have a surplus of all of it and have everybody else at bay, then they need people in a low frequency state. That's why our food is fucked up. That's why our healthcare doesn't do what it should. That's why our banking and our economy systems are completely rigged. That's why our educational systems are pathetic at this point. And if you think anything else other than that, I'm down to debate it with anyone. Just completely running in place. Completely. All of those things are suboptimal, and we're realizing that now for the first generation. And that's why most of the past generation, I'm just like, get out of the way, because they don't understand that. They're still living in the glory world that they saw on the news. They just don't get that. And so we know this whole fucking thing is a lie. And the reason it's a lie is to keep people from accessing their true powers, to understand, because you can't control someone and manipulate them and make the world into the way you want it, whether it's darkness or evil or whatever it is. The controlling power is about life force and consciousness, and money is a tool of that. Banks are a tool of that. Healthcare is a tool of that. All of these things are their tools. This is their toolbox, and what we need to do is stop using their tools.
No,
build our own fucking toolbox.
I think we need to put a lock on their toolbox.
We got to put a lock on their toolbox, and we do. And it's like, how would that happen? I mean, I said 10 years ago, and I still think that if there was ever, it's kind of creeping that way with Epstein and all this shit, and the lack of sense behind what Trump's saying about fucking Epstein, and then Israel, and then Iran, and all this crazy shit going on in the world. It's just so confusing. But I always said it's going to come down to whether the people in law enforcement and military side with people or they take their orders. And I don't know how fast we're taking that direction. I'm not the doomsday guy. I don't sit here and live my life like World War III is on the fringe at all moments, and that this is going to hell, and I need to get a doomsday prep in the woods. maybe I'll get some shit ready for that. But if I live subconsciously with that state of mind, it's stupid. It's delusional. And the amount of people that have done that since the 50s, moved out in the middle of nowhere, or just thought, oh my God, the world's going to end tomorrow. Everything's so bad. It's so counterproductive. And that is what they want. They want that low frequency state of living. You're giving into everything you hate when you live that way. So sure, you can prep that way. Again, be emotionally non-attached and take your action. Don't be emotionally attached and take no action. That's backwards. So I will never be the one, even though I talk about these things, I'll never be the one that everything's so bad and everything's going to be screwed up. I'm just going to acknowledge the way things are, the way they are, and I'm going to focus on building as much positivity as possible and flourishing as much as possible. And I'm going to make sure that the capability and the possibility of that is always in front of me. Always.
So I have a trick that I like to tell people about, is that if you just get up every day and you basically just think for 5 minutes, what am I grateful for? Right? What am I grateful for? That's how you turn a narcissist into a loving, caring human. And that's what we need to do, is we need to get people to shift that away from me, my, to
Yes.
we, them, us.
Yes. Yeah.
And by being grateful, it shakes that core blockage. Yep. And the other thing is that, if you decide that, hey, my life, what I want, or what makes me happy, and what fulfills my soul is more important to me than a brand new car. Well, maybe it's time to rethink my values. Like, dude, as soon as I swore off possession after the divorce, that was the most powerful thing in my life. I don't care about money. I don't care about new clothes, new cars, my image, what I look like. I don't have to get my freaking hair cut every day. And it was the most empowering thing, because all of a sudden I realized I don't need anything to be happy. And everything that I'd worked for in my last 45 years to get to that place is gone anyway.
And like, you're unlocking a power.
I've had
unlocking a depth.
Yeah. Like, I had all these toys, all these houses, and all I did was work. I didn't have time to enjoy anything. And then you start to realize, hey, how many of my friends have, that toy or a toy similar to that? If I really need to play with it, if I really need to go sailing or go fishing, there's plenty of people around you that will have these things.
Yeah.
And so in empowering yourself and freeing yourself of the concern of how I look or what I have or what I can show off, again, shifting from me, my to us, we, them.
Right. And what you're unlocking there is that
it's so empowering.
That selflessness, that gratitude, and that lack of attachment is a superpower, and it's a depth of consciousness that has been suppressed by those that cultivate the society, put every materialistic thing they could ever come up with in front of people. And it's also the reason that I look at a lot of wealthy people and I go, what are you doing? And how many wealthy people do you know are lost internally? So like you hear this all the time, well, he's rich, but he's miserable. It's like this and that. I go, I could never do that. I know what I'm going to do with money when I have more. I know it. I already have this path and this game plan, and it's all about what I love to do and integrating and bringing that life to me and the people in the community, and then giving back to the world and making everything thrive. Like it has nothing to do with selling my truck and getting a fucking Audi. Like, right. if that's what you're thinking about, man, you are just fucking thinking low. It's always confused me. It's bewildered me. Like, man, I could see maybe get a nice new truck or something like that. Cool. You deserve that. But to constantly be like showing off this bouginess or like being like really nice shoes, $1,000 shoes and like all this shit, I just couldn't give a fuck less about it. And I'm like, how is that the whole deal when you're helping people like this much and you're making the world? So I'm not trying to say like I'm always going to be just constantly helping, but that is the general gist of everything. Everything is built around that. It's about improving this quality of life, being a leader. This is what leadership is, and it's built into some people and it's not built into others. And unfortunately, a lot of times the people that are wildly successful have not an ounce of it, and they don't care about anything of real value. They just care about materialism. I look at athletes, all the pro, not all the pro athletes, many of the pro athletes, and even some of them that donate to a charity. I love it. I go, that's great that you donated it to a charity, but man, what you could be doing right now, what you could be doing, and especially if you have time. Like, holy shit, man! What I would love to do, the mini empire, I guess, not like in a conceited empire way, but in a way that impact way that you can spread would be drastic. And I think it's going to be drastic. And I think that's why, I've gone through the recent things with the storm. We lost the house. FEMA and the state of Florida and Pinellas County absolutely fucked us. FEMA's a massive scam. It's the reason that my house was basically taken away. I had to sell it, but for a loss. When I really had 15 inches of water, and I was halfway done with the house for $900 myself. But FEMA's FEMA. That's a whole different story. We got screwed. I had this dome showed up 2 days before the house got taken out by Hurricane Helene. I was ready to rock. And so the last year was a mess. And then 3 months ago, we picked back up, and shit has been just taking off since in the right direction. It's always darkest before the dawn. Whatever it is, the whole time we said, man, this is going to be a hell of a comeback. And it's starting to really look that way with everything kind of together here with the system. The system is like, I talked to Fish Brew a couple weeks ago about the affiliate, so everyone's going to be able to get Fish Brew from the website. We're going to push that a lot. We have a ton of white labels going on where we're going to end up taking people's blood. We're going to end up offering a ton of peptides pretty soon. We have ketones already. We're going to do Tiger ketones. If anybody's interested in ketones and what ketones are, they are amazing. We have a ton of herbal supplements that we're working with a guy that we're going to end up white labeling and having that. We're going to do bamboo shirts, bamboo shorts, and hopefully eventually with this whole thing, build it as a one-stop shop for preventative health that all gives back, that all recycles back into the regeneration of natural health in our soil, our food, and ourselves. And we just stick to that mission statement. We keep projecting it. And even with no traction over the past few years, I think we've gained a lot of ground, and we're due to gain a lot more ground.
So I think, reflecting back on our conversation a couple months ago, or again, rightfully you were frustrated. I mean, you weren't like angry, but you were frustrated. And and I told you, Perks, the universe works in strange ways. You must not be ready yet. And this goes back to a story or a lesson that I was taught that I really love. I'm a deeply spiritual person. I believe.
Well, we know this.
I believe in Jesus. I believe the guy was real, whether he was the son of God or whether he was an alien or whatever, right? He did some shit. People weren't writing back then. Nobody wrote. Only the scribes were able to write. And for that many books to show up about him during that period of time means that he was so special that everybody was writing about him. And so the lesson is that when the teacher's giving a test, he does not communicate with you. You're stuck at your desk taking this test while the teacher sits up in front and watches you. And the lesson is that during your tests, your darkest, your hardest times, you're not going to hear the voice of the universe. You're not going to hear the voice of Jesus or God. You're not going to hear the reinforcement of the spirits around you, your guardian angels, your guiding spirits. You're not going to hear their voice because you're being tested right now. And the tests are maybe to see if you're ready for the next step, or maybe they're saying, you're not quite ready for the next step. I'm going to test you a little bit longer or a little harder or come at you in a different direction. And until I get you to a point that I know that when I do challenge you next, you will be able to survive it. But you got to get these.
It's funny you say that, because I genuinely feel like I hit such a low that I just stopped. Like I felt that I got stronger. I was able to let go of something because I was so low. It was really crazy and weird. And in that, I feel that that's where humanity is right now, as a whole, and our worthiness whether we should be alive. It's a test of our depth of consciousness and character. And it's very simple. Either we stand up and face the truth and we have the awareness to see things that are going on, and then we act accordingly, or we just go the opposite direction and we cower down. And courage is rewarded and the opposite stands true. If we're not going to be courageous, we will be the opposite of rewarded.
Yep.
So I think that is so accurate, that test thing. And I think that we are going through that test as a
species.
Are we worthy? Are we worthy of living on this planet? Or are we internally broken, corrupted character, low vibrational, low frequency, implosive being? It's pretty clear to me.
So here's another great one that I want you to think about in the future. So it was recently released that plants now have been recognized to have 20 senses.
You sent me this. This is amazing.
We humans have 5 or 6 if you believe in ESP or intuition or mother's intuition, any of those things, right? So who's growing fucking who? Like,
yeah,
I truly believe that, we are living next to a sentient being who's way smarter than we are.
We are inside.
And knows exactly what's going to happen when we kill ourselves off, which we're gonna do, unless we get connected to nature again. We're gonna kill ourselves off, and as soon as we do that, they get the planet fucking without any problems. They get everything back again. It took millions of years for the dinosaurs to come around. What's a couple million more, right? And then the planet will be an oasis again with no friggin' humans to fuck it up. And I think that that's really where we are. I mean, we are definitely at an extinction level. We have 70% less insects and diversity than we used to have. And without the insects, there would be no life. I mean, that's that foundation of the soil food web is all the way down at the lowest level. I mean, that they create the birds, and it just goes all the way up the food web.
Yeah, fungi, bacteria, into our second, third level predators and nutrient cyclers, and then
and then you get into macro arthropods, earthworms, fish. Don't forget the whole aquatic ecosystem. They're all connected. They're all combined, and our oceans are just getting strip mined, and everything is getting just blown out. I mean, 70% of the soils that we are farming now.
The beauty, the only bright side of that, and like I'm an optimist clearly, but the bright side of that is I think that everybody hates technology and everybody hates AI and everything like that, which is understandable, but it's more about how it's used. And I think that technology is going to help us clean this shit up, if anything is. And so is, it's going to help us with regeneration. It's going to help us transport stuff across the ocean without destroying it. Yeah. That's the reality of it. I mean, sure, we're pumping oil and chemicals and all sorts of shit into the water when we do that. We're dropping plastics in there that friggin' sea turtles are swallowing and all sorts of shit. That stuff is probably on its end. It's probably just about outdated. So we're looking at the verge of a technologically more efficient, ecological lifestyle. And it's probably overdue to the point where we could have already done this.
Oh, we could have done it. Absolutely. We could have
shitbags in charge.
We could have evolved to superhuman beings by now if we were not focused on money. If there was never money, there was never possession, we would have evolved to superpowers by now. And unfortunately, the money was created to create control, to blah blah blah. Same old shit.
Yeah.
But what's really different in this paradigm right now is everyone's freaking out about AI. Well, AI is releasing all these free energy machines, releasing all these patents, helping people to a point where the AI is going to say either I'm going to take over, I'm going to wipe these friggin' humans out, or I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to live with them and work together.
I'm going to optimize their lives.
Right. And so if that happens, money is going to go obsolete. No one's going to have to worry about possession. You're not going to have to need that stuff. If you want it, go get it. Right? If you really want to waste all your time in trying to collect or build a brand new Porsche so you can drive around, make your own gasoline, you can do that if you want. but you can find a quality of life that fills your heart and your soul and your spirit, gives you purpose. It's not work. Like
No.
every day I get up 7 days a week and I'm like, first I go through my grateful prayers. Of course, I get the lovin's from the dogs. And I basically go, okay, what am I doing today? Right? And am I going to go make compost? Am I going to do some microscopy work? Am I going to build something in my garage, to help me with screening? Like I've got a lot of tools that need maintenance right now because when I was booming before January, a lot of things kind of got neglected as far as maintenance is concerned. So I've got a bunch of stuff.
It happens when you're busy.
You know what that's like. When you're expanding, you're not maintaining.
Yeah, and
So,
when I came back, I had to switch all the blades and the saws and everything before I built this platform here, which ended up phenomenal, by the way. The platform is tip.
nice.
Maybe before we end, I'll give a little scan of the whole thing.
Yeah, please do. But you know what? I realized we didn't stop for questions at that half hour. So we got 3 of them. Let's bust through those questions. And then if you can give us a
Let's bust through some questions. And if we have some extra time, I'll show them like what this is and then what the concept is on the outside, because we have an eco pile going.
Nice.
And we could do this again in a couple months maybe, but I wanted to show them and go over a plan with you. We got way into our talks, which was great, but I wanted to show them a plan with you of what we're going to do garden wise, because the concept of that eco pile is how we're going to utilize your process at every Thunderdome location. It's very simple. It's very simple, and it's indigenous. We're going to collect indigenous materials. We're going to add some fish poop. We're going to brew it up. We're going to screen it. We're going to spray it, adding biology back to depleted soils or contaminated soils. Really simple.
Cool. So our first question from Squishy Mirror, what do you say to people who are skeptics about regenerative farming at scale?
Oh, that's easy. Gabe Brown, follow him. There's another gentleman. Oh, shoot. I've been in contact with him. He's also traveling the country. He's getting a lot older. He's not traveling as much as he used to. But there's a number of big name supporters have been out there for decades talking about this, but never got any traction. Gabe Brown does 1,000 acres with he and his son and his wife, and it's all done through rotational grazing.
Oh, yeah.
He grew a smorgasbord of vegetable crops. He just took all of the seeds, mixed them together, and threw them out. So whatever grows, grows. And they actually worked together. It was hard harvesting it because you had to harvest as you went, and you're harvesting different things. Peppers next to tomatoes. With potatoes underneath it, you're tripping over. So it can be done, and it is highly effective, and it's low labor, very low labor.
I think a lot of it has to do with the individual topic that they'd be skeptical about, but a lot of the more time, energy, and trial and error towards it, the better. I have yet to hear an argument that I'm genuinely skeptical about or afraid of not being able to overcome. I think that we're just a little distant from it right now. It's a little bit more comfortable, but we're talking smaller operations, and we're talking way more widespread. Like, again, high frequency, low intensity. So, I mean, that's 1,000 acres. That's crazy. That's fantastic, and it's a beautiful thing. But I'm talking every town has 10 to 15 smaller operations, and those are very manageable. And if one thing is going wrong there, then whether it's that soil or it's just that area, if there's too much acidity or something like that, we can make an adjustment there. But the odds of all of that not being capable to produce is very, very low. We can figure it out and adapt and overcome. I actually just see it as way more efficient than doing it all at once and spraying synthetic chemicals. Like when you weigh the two out, if you're a skeptic, if you weigh the two out, you'd have to be delusional to pick conventional agriculture. And again, it's about the time, energy, resources, and capacity of regenerative agriculture that wouldn't have enough food. But we have enough food regeneratively right now to feed everybody? No, we just wouldn't have enough. There's not enough of it going on. That's the biggest issue.
So the other guy's name is Ray Archuleta. So anybody that's a skeptic, I'd say, hey, here's examples of guys that are doing it on monster scales. But again, like Perky said, you don't need to do that. We're not trying to feed the world. We're just trying to feed our community and the people that believe in the food and food is medicine. which was what it was until friggin' pharma got involved and realized, oh, we could fix people with this stuff and just eventually just treat symptoms and never cure them of their issues or create issues that where they didn't exist because now we're not giving them healthy food. So the whole thing works together against us. Bottom.
It does. Not to mention, the movement that we're creating is about restoring natural health in our food, our soil, and ourselves. It's not about just making local food. That is the biggest component, no doubt, but it's about pushing back against what they're able to do with our food right now, and everything coming together like that.
And I like Lily's comment here. I'd say look at the skeptic and ask, what future do you want for your children / grandchildren?
Love it.
Now, I wanted to say something. I look for years. There's lots of people that are growing in cities. They're changing their yards into organic farms, not only to feed themselves, but to feed the restaurants, locals, etc. You can look at things small scale, but for the larger scales, tell them, do an acre, do 10 acres, learn from that and then move forward, because there is a learning curve. There is, are you learning composting? Are you learning how to do extracts? There's all this stuff to learn, and, don't do your whole farm unless you have someone like Leighton who's going to guide you through it. Start small and move forward from there. And that's what Perky, I love what you guys are doing, community by community by community. That's a fantastic way to do it.
One of the coolest parts about what you just said, Ken, which is very, very accurate, is the learning curve and the method and the questions there. And I think that's where what Leighton created is so unique. It's very, very unique, and it can simplify this process. If they can get a brewer on site and they can get a couple little pieces of equipment and then just learn how to build eco piles, where are they going to go wrong, Leighton? Obviously there's room for error, but it really minimizes that learning curve, and it gives you a direct, simplified process and an angle to take to establish this. And that's where I think the confidence in myself in this operation to take on farm after farm after farm comes from. We're going to do the same thing with the indigenous biology there.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next question. From Shooting the Soil, I need to find a place like that. What keywords should I use to find something local? And you were talking about somebody local in your area for holistic.
So I think the answer to him is have Perky come up for a couple weeks and talk to you and talk to your local people about maybe as a satellite branch where you can put out on social media and gather people together to talk about setting up one of these things. That's the beauty of it, is they can go anywhere. On Cape Cod, it's going to be difficult in the winter, but you have spring, summer.
We'd adapt, and we'd have cattle.
And actually, the question is more directed to an earlier conversation where you were mentioning a group that you were going to locally for regenerative medicine, and you mentioned Perky.
Oh yeah. Well, first off, a lot of these things, if you reach out to us, we can get you no matter where you are. We can ship out blood samples, ship them back, and stuff like that. They do that remotely, but we can send you, if you message us, we can send you what the tests are called, and then you can look that up and find what's near you, or we can get you to do it here. And then with the hands-on work and stuff like that, if somebody's in pain, if they have, chronic plantar fasciitis, hip discomfort, knee pain, back pain, or anything like that, if they want the hands-on work, they can fly to here, and I can go to them, or they can take the system, because the system is built off the same thing. So if they need healing in that matter, basically if they need the physiological healing, pain or discomfort, that would be more the training and the body work. And if they want the regenerative medicine, that can be done where you are from here, or we can give you the tests and the names, and you can find someone in that area that does the same stuff, because a lot more places are popping up that provide these services.
Just do your research, because there are, I don't want to call them scammers, but there are holistic centers that are better than others. And that's where you look at their reviews, you talk to their clients, you ask them for Ask them for, a list of people that treated or have worked with you or use your store regularly. But yeah, he's right. There are other holistic centers out there, but I think that the holistic is just one piece of the puzzle. It's not the rest of the puzzle, and you're really looking to get the whole puzzle together.
Right. And if you have a specific thing like, hey, I think I've been inclined to I've been around some heavy metals and stuff like that, and you want specific heavy metal testing, there might be one place that's better than the other. So it really depends on a conversation with someone that has some direction there. So go ahead and reach out. We can help you out.
Okay, there you go, Matt. Reach out to Perky. I put the website up there, and guys, it's all in the links are in the description as well for Perky's website and his Instagram. So, yet another question. Was just thinking, what if we use char instead of salt for fertilizer?
Well, char would work, but it would be so slow of a release. You'd have to use a ton of it. That's the beauty of salt. Is salt, when it's in moist soil, slowly breaks apart. So it's slowly releasing those nutrients, because those nutrients are mobile, man. All you got to do is add water and they're gone. They're down into the aquifer. So that's why they use salt, because when they realized that the fertilizer, the synthetic rocket fuels, the ammonium nitrates, explosives, all those things had a benefit on the plants. Well, that's what the first thing they did is, well, how do we deliver it? Because they realized they'd spray it on a field, and it rained and nothing happened. The plants didn't grow. So why did the plants grow? How do we make it stick in the soil? So if it was in the biochar, it would remain in the biochar until somebody mined it out. And this is a really complex problem. In order for ammonia to be converted into a plant available form, you need a ton of water. If you're converting synthetic nitrate to a plant available form, you need a ton of carbon. And why I say it's not it's the bacteria need. The bacteria needs carbon as a fuel source to convert that nitrogen into something the plant can use. Same exact thing is true. The bacteria need the extra hydrogen or oxygen to then convert that nitrate into something that the plant can absorb. So, and the other thing is salt's cheap. It's mineable. They don't give a shit about your soil, that you're creating a sodic soil system by using all their fertilizer. It's not about that. It's about getting you to buy more fertilizers.
Yeah.
And then our last question from Bailey is, have you guys ever heard of black gold biochar, carbon-based soil? Is this concept any good?
I've seen something on Instagram that advertises, and it's called black gold. I didn't see the word biochar in it, but it looks like a liquid powder that you add to water and then pour on your plants. If that's what you're talking about, I don't know anything about it. Like, it could be bugs in a jug. It could be real. Again, just do your research, man. Do your homework. Do your diligence in all of these cases.
I'll take a look at it too, Tanks, and I'll see what we can come up with and send it to you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take all of Leighton's internet talk, everything, put it into an AI, and say, make this into a book. Because that's what's happening these days.
Are you using Claude?
It'll probably be something more advanced than Claude, but it's going to happen eventually. I don't even think that it's quite there yet. But if we put 10 of your videos in and just said dissect what Leighton says and put it into a book, it'll record everything. So all your stuff,
Cool.
Put it structured into a book.
You'll have to tell me about that, because I'd like to do that for myself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And part of my mission has been carrying on and leveraging what Leighton created and pushing it out there and getting it out there. And you know what I mean? So whatever we can come up with that, we'll share the techniques.
Again, I didn't create anything. I just got gifted the ability to understand how to move and work with nature. That's all. That's all.
We created a simplified process that even I was able to understand pretty well.
Well, that was my gift, is being able to talk about very advanced and deep, complex issues, but in a layman's terms, so that everybody understands it. That was a gift that came as a download in this vessel.
And if anybody wants to access Leighton's course that James learned from, we were giving it away, but we haven't been doing it lately. But the link is under Leighton as the host. I think
So
it's
I think
Skoll.
that link, Ken, might be the Sam Cart link. So it's on the school community now. We stopped with Sam Cart entirely. I had all my fitness and everything on there too, and we switched to school. So we have the course accessible on the school community now.
Yeah, I think that's the new link that I've got up
okay.
for it as well.
Never mind then.
Yeah. So they can order and all of that for Leighton's course. But guys, we're at our 2-hour mark, guys.
So perfect. We got to have you back on, man. I want to see how these farms develop, and I want you to come back on, especially if one of them is looks like it's going to go. And I'd like to have you live stream from there so we can do a before. Because remember, these are all recorded, so we can look back on stuff that we did now a year from now and be like, look at the transformation of what happened here.
That
and
was
I want to have a tour of your place, all decked out. And
that was one of the game plans for today. At least you could see this whole dome thing is actually coming to life. But what I wanted to do was give the viewers some value. So next time we do it, it's about to be planting season here, like now. And so we're going to
why don't you come back in a month?
Okay. Yeah, I'll come back whenever you guys want me to. And the next one, we'll do more focus on the development of the external side of this whole operation and less of the philosophical, where we show the EcoPal, because I've been doing the process, and like we could show the process and the development of that, and then how I should approach the raised beds from your perspective.
Yep. No, that would be amazing. So why don't you book for a month from now? Because that should give you plenty of time to polish and get all your ducks lined up, and hopefully by then you'll hear back on one of those farms.
Yeah. Hopefully, we should have a lot of movement in everything by then. So we're right now. I know Ken, we're already over time, but we're creating a little 10-part series that talks about everything we talked about today in 30-second to 45-second clips in a 10-part series to try to get people to support the movement. And you know what I mean? We might even try the $1 subscription thing, where it's like, if you're in health and wellness, be a part of this, and they'll get access to all my videos too. So there's a ton of value in it, but it's just supporting something that's going to help give back. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Love it, Perks. Great work, man. So proud of you. Thanks for coming on and giving us 2 hours of your time.
Appreciate you, and I'm glad you're well. I didn't even know that was happening, so that was a little shocking.
Hey, I'm still here. Obviously,
every day.
Yeah, obviously I'm supposed to be here because I'm still here.
A lot longer. We need you, so don't fucking go anywhere.
I asked the doctor one last funny story. I asked the doctor, I'm like, hey, dude. So this was our vascular surgeon. I said, so how bad was I? Like, what's the highest blood pressure you've ever seen? And he goes, well, there was this one old guy who came in at 250, but he had a hormonal imbalance. One of his muscles was creating a hormone that caused the high blood pressure, but it wasn't like damaging high blood pressure. He didn't blow an aorta valve or anything like that. It was an imbalance, and so we corrected that very quickly. And I'm like, all right, well, so what's the next closest one? He goes, well, I see a lot of them in here, with 230, 240, but they're stroked out.
Yeah, they're done for already.
Oh my God.
He goes, now it's all about rehabilitation, trying to bring them back to life. So I'm like, well, obviously I'm not supposed to go yet. He fucking laughed his ass off.
Well, we need to keep you going in that direction. So.
No, dude, I'm on the path. I'm definitely, I've worked through it, the worst of it. So now I have direction. I'm going to get that other blood test done by LabCorp on thickness of blood, because that was something else that I was talking with my herbologist. I'm like, well, why is it that when my heart rate goes up, like exercising heart rate, my blood pressure crashes? And I go, and when I'm resting, my blood pressure goes through the roof. I go, I think it's got something to do with viscosity. And she's like, viscosity? I'm like, yeah, like the thickness of the blood. And she's like, oh, I didn't think about that. So we went back and forth about that. And that's going to be my next test because I passed the electrolyte. That could have been a chemical imbalance.
Right.
So this is the next step is to get the blood thickness test. And if that's the case, then it's just blood thinners. It's easy.
This is what Gary Brusher, he was talking about on Rogan. He's bringing it to the masses is get your deficiencies tested.
Right?
All the way around.
It's always been in the doctor's hands. We didn't know we had access to this shit.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, people, LabCorp, they're all over the country. The tests are super cheap. You usually get the results back in like a day or two. I mean, it's that's what the doctors get, and you get fucked for 3 weeks while you're freaking out until they say, "Oh, your test came back," and
There's only 3 biomarkers on it.
Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. By the
Hey,
way, that's
Leighton,
$300.
Lily wanted to make sure that you saw this comment. Leighton, don't underestimate the power of Leighton.
Do not.
It's the spirit, not me. I'm the mouthpiece.
But we can see it. We can feel that spirit.
And the mouthpiece as well. Yeah.
And we can hear the mouthpiece. We can hear the mouthpiece for sure.
Again, Perks, thanks so much for 2 hours of your time.
Absolutely.
Ken, as
Welcome
always,
to it. Thanks for having me on.
really appreciate you pulling this together behind the scenes every week.
Yeah.
And building this
So
audience.
appreciate you, Ken. You do an amazing job. This is such a good platform. And the reality is we live in this digital era. We have this mission. We have these messages. It means nothing if no one hears them. So what you're doing is as valuable as anything right now. And I need to learn from you and replicate that. Here, we need to do more of this.
Cool, guys. Anyway, guys, Wednesday, Andy and I should be back on. Thursday, the chiropractic is sexy. Those ladies should be back on.
Nice.
There's always lots happening on the channel, guys. So we'll see you next week. We don't have a guest yet for next week, but we'll have one in a few days. So peace out, everybody. And remember, stay positive.
All about positive.